All right, here we are at Wednesday. Huh, okay, I clicked on the wrong thing. Actually, let me see here. Did I kick that off? No, I didn't. Cool. All right, so Wednesday it is. Here we are. Nice. Let me just check my things. That looks good. Sweet. All right, so I do need to clean up the task board a little bit, but I need to go through these. Maybe I should do that now real quick. I did finish off that pull request from the other day. Decided not to do this last item, but I got all these other things done. So that all got done on Monday. Now I'm working on this sparse text thing. So I got some fun, interesting things to show there, including some interesting progress on, because I got all this code that I prototyped in Python over to C++. So now I have some thoughts on how to improve this, and I've got some test code that I haven't run yet to see, but I have some new ideas specifically around this image. Gave me some thoughts. Let me see here on the task board though. Only anchor position to hand. Yeah, I tried that and ran into issues, so I kind of tabled that for the moment. Render a B box around the book. See, I don't know if I can actually do this. Not reliably. Although I do say we need this. Book being anchored to the hand is actually janky. Ideally, X and Y are based on object tracking, and then depth is computed somehow. I actually was looking into Meta's Passthrough camera API, and apparently they do provide depth info in some way, but actually it's interesting because I'm only pulling one image. I'm pulling the left camera image, and I did want to do stereo. I do have a task on my board over here somewhere to merge the left and right image and get a stereo image. But Meta has said that they provide depth info, so I wonder what that's based off of. Because ideally you'd be able to say okay, if I've detected text in an image, knowing where that location is in the image, if they've given me depth info, then I should be able to know where in 3D space that came from. And I could use that for the basis of a bounding box. We also need this because right now we struggle detecting end of pages or title pages, right? We need to switch away from detecting a block of text and instead detecting things like the spine of a book. Yeah, I tried this, and the approach that I'm working on today doesn't do this. It doesn't do the spine of a book pages, book detection. I may take another stab at that. I don't think it's going to be today, though. Switch away from detecting blocks of text. I'm actually doing the opposite right now. I'm leaning in hard to say, since these are, with this mask applied, these are lines, can I conclusively say they are lines, detect them as lines, and know that they are text and therefore, treat them as such. Quick fix, as I don't think I want to implement anything below just yet. We should keep the logic we have now. As long as the hand is mostly facing up, we should keep the book oriented vertical. I tried this. This is the thing I tried with that other task that was on the board, and it just didn't work. I couldn't get it to work. I'm sure I'm doing something stupid because of my limited Godot knowledge. The hand sometimes gets blocked, and this causes the book to move weirdly. Just keep it readable until we detect that the book is being placed down. Yeah, I tried this quick fix approach, and it turned out not to be quick. Nor a fix. Neither. What about my more advanced approaches here? So, yeah, this would be object tracking. Find and draw the outline of the book. I can fast forward this through a bit. Yeah. Let's go with that. The thing is, like, the headset cameras are limited to 30 FPS, and then there's also delays, like 50 milliseconds or something like that delay. So I could do this and, I could smooth it maybe, but it's going to be janky. Potentially. So I wonder if it's even worth doing. Not until, like, Meta improves their API for this. We can definitely compute a box for pages 1 and 2 based on the image. But where do we put that in 3D space? You probably could use the coordinates of the nearest hand model. Yeah, okay. So maybe we just compute page orientation for the center point of the page. Figure out the raycast of the center point of the page based on, like, their hands or something like that. Then use the wrist X, Y, and Z to the raycast. Instead of mounting the book model to the wrist, just use that as the starting location. Okay, I mean, I guess I could take this approach and apply it to the quick fix. I don't think I'm going to do this today, though. Could be fun, though. Improve feedback on detection. Move the HUD closer. Yeah, okay, actually I did this. This is done. And then title pages. This is actually what I am working on. Title pages don't OCR. Like, this is kind of basically what I'm thinking of today. And then UX, quality of life, no. I'm going to table that for now. Let's throw that back out. I do need to work on a new devlog. I'm overdue. I've actually done this, but I'm still kind of... I think I may want to take another run at this. And then the District Arcade stuff that happened a couple weeks ago, I want to, like, finalize my notes. Did I actually finalize my notes? I know I kind of did a lot. Yeah. And then use that as decision making for the future. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's just focus on this sparse text for today. And then after this, depending on where I end up, I'll be able to make a wise decision as to whether or not this is the right approach, whether I need to switch to, like, full-blown, like, YOLO V8 object tracking vision model type approach or something like that to, like, detect a book in 3D space, and maybe do some sort of experiment with, like, just putting a model in the environment based on where we detect the book. But I'm not going to do that today. So the new approach needs to handle page titles, footers, and numbers. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is interesting. I'm now expanding on this. Where am I at? So it's this version that I'm going to run now. Where is my... So this is the current way I'm doing it today. I'm going to close that. Let me kill that. And where is our test harness? New is the test we care about, and we're going to build. So let's run that. And then do I have... Well, this is the test cases. The new chapter test case is the one we're running. And we're going to get, like, an image like this. And the problem with this and the current method is because this is only a small block of text, we don't detect this as a page. And then similarly, because there's a big gap here, we detect this almost as, like, 2 blocks of text, which also results in not a page. So I'm trying to resolve that issue. I think I could do it with some clever slash hacky code where I just say, like, look, if this one started at the top, then this one also needs to start at the top. And if this one finished at the bottom here, this one also should finish at the bottom. And that would close things up and make a more complete image. Like, that's kind of the hacky approach. Before going down the hacky road, though, I want to see if I want to take a new idea. The new idea being, what if we just detect sparse text and OCR them? But for something like this, I could say, okay, if this is a block of text and this is a block of text, and they're in line with each other vertically, then actually they should be merged. So, going to take ideas like that. This can go over here. This failed. But before it failed, did we get anything? Today is the 12th, correct? Wonder if I can... Probably not. That would be pretty cool if I could. All right. So here's what it did. So this is the edge detection. That's vertical. That's horizontal. Interesting. So we're doing, so this is a unique color per thing we detected. Okay. And then filtering, which did not work. And then detection from there, which did not work. Clustering. Valid text blocks. I mean, not bad. It found something, right? Let's kill this. And let me drag this over to here. Get it out of the way. Okay, so I'm downscaling. Blurring. What if I skip blurring? And then, because I was doing that before, but I don't think it's necessary. This should be small, right? And then edges is fine to run that through Canny. The vertical edges, I'm not using this anywhere. This is a relic of previous experiment because I care much more about horizontal. Now, if we strengthen horizontal, we turn that up to 15, back up to 15. All right, let's rerun this. And let's see what that does. While that's running, I can kind of strategize on my next move. So this may improve just creating those lines. And then find connected components. Stats, statistics. Output for each label, including the background label. Blah, 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 centroids. So this is going to be the okay, I'm using right. And then I just go visualize these. Okay. Well, we have results back. Okay, that did a lot better. Before, we actually, in here... Let me just triple check that. Yeah, you can see we had some disconnected elements. And even in here, even though it worked, you can see some black lines in there where it struggled a little bit, and down here it struggled. With this, much better. We still end up with some problems. But actually, you know, it doesn't like thicken up lines or anything. I wonder what happens if I crank it to 11. In fact, actually, you can even see it detected like there's like a letter I here. If we go back to the raw image, here, let's go to the template. You can see it's like the start of a new chapter, so it's a letter I. So it actually picked that up, and it picked up the page number, which is here, which we didn't pick up before. So 15 is really good. I wonder what happens if I crank it to 11. Either way, this is probably good enough. And then what did it do after this? That's fine. Again, this like filtered lines step is bad. All right. So I think it has to be an odd number, if I remember correctly. So let's go up to like 19. Or heck, let's go to 25. Actually, hold on a sec. Say 15 is really good. We'll go 25. And see what it does there. Now the filtering, let's see here. So okay, so this, I'm visualizing all the components. That's fine. And then filter individual lines by width. Okay, this is probably... If I do that, let's run it. See what we get. Don't think I'm going to be spending much time in Godot today. Let me pull that down here. And what are we at here? 1023? Okay. Wow, okay, so I cranked it to 11. And didn't really do anything new. I mean, it kind of, like, some weirdness that happened here. But otherwise... Okay, so it lost the bigger ones. So that means this needs to go down to like... 500, and this goes to 100 maybe? And then this... I don't know, let's go to 65. So in theory, like setting this higher is just not going to do anything. So 15 may even be like the best we can do. I am curious to see what'll happen though. Like, I don't know. Does it freak out? Does it, I don't know, crash in some way? This is interesting. So I might be able to... The problem is the book can have variable distance from the camera. Some books are smaller than others. So I don't know if I can do this. I think I care more about multiple lines in a row. So maybe I do something like I group the lines by width. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so when you do crank it to 11 or 65, this kind of thing starts to happen. And we don't really get a benefit. I'm going to still play around with it. Send that to 45. What do we end up with? Well, this is going to completely throw off our test, but actually... Oh, those all got connected to each other, so they get treated as one big one. That's wider. That's why we only ended up with the one line here. That counted. Ah, interesting. Okay, so we are onto something here. Let me just run that again. Again, I don't know if I can trust that. Maybe what I could do is get all of them, like get the mode being most. So order them by, get all lines, order them by width, and then take the mode. And then expect that there are at least a bunch of lines that are in that range. Or I could just, kill the bottom 20%, kill the top 20%, and then use that to figure it from there. All right, similar problem. We went too far to the right here. We've got some bridging. So, similar problem. Only this time now we actually get that as a full block of text. We lose the bottom here, though. So, I don't know. If I go down to 35, maybe it'll get it. Either way, okay, I'll tune this to figure out what it should be. This works, though, so 100 to 500 seems to work. And maybe that's okay. I mean, I guess... I mean, until... The problem is... Until I fix this down here, I can't really see what's going to happen. Because I guess, presumably we'll lose this little thing here. We'll lose this page number. We may even lose this end of paragraph here. So... I'll have to see. But either way, I don't think I can do this, min-max thing. I guess the other problem is... If I do that... I don't know. Maybe this is okay. But, if I do that, even with min, can I even have a min? Maybe it has to be a max. The problem is if I go with a max only, then we'll get all these here too. I guess I could say... I guess it's layers of detection, right? What I'm really saying is I expect there to be multiple lines in a row of the same width. Of, within reason the same width. So maybe this last line doesn't count. This bottom here doesn't count. These, page numbers and things, and this up here doesn't count. But we say, hey, look, there's 5 in a row here. They're all basically the same width. And, oh, by the way, we got 2 blocks that are like that. I mean, I guess in theory, you could have a blank page. So let's not say that. But then we should say, okay, if we have multiple in a row and they're the same width, we can knock out this edge case by just saying, okay, let's go with the largest one where we have like 5 in a row that are the same width within 5% of each other. Once we know that, then say, okay, go get me all blocks where that is true. So we would get this, we would get something here, we would get something here. And then maybe we got something to work with. This finished. 26. That can't be the... Did I run it? I can't trust myself, so let me run that again. This last one was here off the page. That was 35. This might be the 35 one. All right, let me see. I'm guessing it is. Okay, so that's bad. Let's go to 25. Again, like I might go with something like 15. 15 seems good. I do want to understand the upper limits of it. And also, once I run it against the whole test suite, then I'll find out if there's some edge cases on other pages that didn't work as well. Here we are. And how does that look? As I expected. So I'll stick with 25 for now. I will say it. I mean, there does seem to be a risk of bridging. Meta, go away. Where are you? Die. Go away. No, I didn't. That doesn't mean relaunch yourself. That means go away. Okay, so it found these as those. And there we go. I guess the width I had was enough to pick up here and this. Does it get that? No. So we lose the page number footer. We do end up keeping some garbage up here at the top. And the bottom corner. But I could filter those out by just saying, go with the largest. And I could do, I'm doing horizontal here. I disabled the vertical edge. If I enabled vertical edging from here, from this point, actually. Like from here, if I enabled it, and went aggressive, right? Did something like 25, 35. Then like this would connect in, these would connect into each other, these would connect in. But like this other stuff wouldn't. Okay, I'll leave it at 25 for now. So let's see here. Filter individual lines by width. So valid lines. We look at our stats. We get our XY, WH stats. Well, for this, I guess we're just... Yeah, I'm just going to write out an image. I don't think I'm actually using anything. Now, pushback, valid line. Well, gotcha. No. We are doing it here. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure we were. min, max, width. So okay. This is where I would do something, right? Where I would do some math. I guess we just care about the W stat. Num components. Got you. I'm still new to this kind of... Okay, so this gives us the number of components. But then for each... It's interesting this is I as 1. Am I sure that that's true? In any case, the stats... Okay, so each, like, components is numbers, but then each of these is... It's a mat? So we're converting it to an integer, I think. All right. How do I want to do this? I don't I would normally write it myself, but whatever. Let me just ask an AI to do some work. This is good. I've made a few tweaks. Can you give me a brief example? Just a few lines of code of computing of hold on. Of computing the mode for width. Well, mode for width is a problem because it would, like, it's not going to be a specific number. It's going to be a range. Can you give me a brief code example where we order the sets valid lines where we order the horizontal lines by width and drop the bottom and top 20%. Let's just see what that does. Because, yeah, I mean, it's going to be something like, you know, we'll loop over the components, and then I guess we're going to have to run some sort of statistics. Are we? I mean, I guess we're just doing a sort by width for all these components. What's your deal, Claude? In the meantime, though, let me take a look at this again. Yeah, so if we do that, like we'll lose these small ones here, like the page number. But it should clean up all the garbage all around too. So we have our widths here for each. We push. Okay, so we're just basically building a list of ints that's unordered. Then we sort it. And then we erase, remove if. Actually, that's not too bad. That's actually it's pretty clever. I'll call this step 4A. Filter out long and short lines. I do hate when AI does things like this. Valid lines is not going to be empty. Let's just not worry about that. Shift tab. But also it's not valid lines because we're not at this point yet. Let me think here. So we don't even have them yet, right? This is a rectangle. I don't love this. Like, hold on. Fine, let's do this. Let's bring this in. Bring this in. And then we'll push back the width. Right, that's all you did, right? And then at the same time, we can build valid lines while we're at it. This will end up going away. So now we're just doing a single for loop to build both valid lines and our widths. We'll sort by widths, we'll cut them off, and then we'll erase. And then as a final, we'll do valid lines here. I prefer a snake case. Well, valid lines is not going to be... Right, so there's this filtered lines. We're using the same rect. All right, fine. Let me do... Yeah, a lot of this code will end up cleaning up later. That's fine. We don't need this. Actually, in this case, I can go with this now. Let's kill this line. Ah, can't do that. I don't need this if check. I don't need that. All I'm going to do is loop over valid lines. Fine, let's put that there. And we'll do line. Fine, do that here, and actually, I'm just gonna kill all this. Since I've reused some variable names and things anyway, I don't want to accidentally... I don't think I want this anyway. I don't think this is a good approach to do the min-max. So I'm gonna do this. All right, let's see how that looks. Where are you? Right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kill the top and bottom 20% of lines by width. And I might get pretty aggressive with that. The only thing I hate about that is it gets rid of footer, like page number we lose as part of this. I mean, I suppose we could get that back with some sensible padding, but I don't know. Maybe we can get it back because, you know, instead of just erasing them from valid lines, this could be kept around and we could just, you know, effectively clone it and build a new list and then erase. So then we've got two lists, one that has all the originals and ones that doesn't. And then what I could do is reach back into the original list and pull up anything that is, you know, close by. Could do that. I mean, I guess I could do that just vertically, right? So we would just get like one extra thing. Anyway, let's see how this looks. So there's all the color coding. And there we go. Look at that. One and done. Valid lines is just... that works pretty good. And again, I guess we have this problem anywhere where we still have to filter out this extra junk because this should go away, this should go away. Arguably, we would lose this. Ooh, we did lose... Okay, so now let me do... Okay, so this is still wrong. What I want to do is take these. Okay. What I really want to do is, yeah, yes, let's get rid of the 20-80%. I think what we lost here, though, is like this line up here got ripped out simply because it was the next one up. It was probably the shortest of all these lines here. Actually, weird. Why did we... Oh, maybe it's the longest? It does look like it's slightly longer. Did that happen anywhere else? It's probably the longer 20%. That's probably where we lost it. So instead what I want to do is dot size. Yeah, that works. Now what I'm going to do is take the remaining widths and average them and then add a little bit of buffer. And what that should do, that would basically be like, take these, get their average width, and then add, you know, 20% on either end of it, and then get all lines that actually have, that are within that range, and use that. That's like sort of like the, then we're computing the min-max width. based on frequency in the data. I'm not even using that though. Like this, oh, well, this is still like the old code. Yeah, okay. So I didn't incorporate the next bit yet. Yeah, this is becoming a lot of steps. Let me see here. So in this case, if I go this route, I actually bring this code back. I get rid of this. I don't need this. I'm just like getting the widths. Okay, and I'm just getting the widths so that I can compute this, so that I can compute this. Okay. I'll bite. That could work. So now I'm then getting okay, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's go crazy. Let's get rid of the valid lines. I'm not going to comment things out. I'm just going to delete them because Lord knows I'll never come back to them anyway. Let's get rid of this. Cool. Let's going to bring this back. Min width threshold. Right. Fine. Let me think here. Let's do min width, and we'll do max width. And I'm thinking, so what can I do here? I can probably do like that's going to be the 20th percentile. I could even be more aggressive with that, right? Like I could go like 40%. So instead of doing the mode, we're basically going like, hey, let's get the middle 20% of widths. That pretty much guarantees we're going to get the page text. Right? And then, so yeah, let's do that. Middle 20%. Use middle 20% of widths to find page text. And then in this case, we will subtract out I don't know, how much is that going to be, right? So that so now let me think about this. Now, in this case, like min and max are both going to be roughly here. Like it's going to be the width of like one of these lines. That's what we're going to find. So now we have the width of one of these lines. Actually, so if we do average width, to be real hacky about this, I don't know, this starts to feel hacky. So assuming we did that, this might not be right anyway. Because this division will produce a float, and I have to remember my C++ syntax on can I even do that. But presuming we got the average. Do I have an image already up? Yeah. That could die. So presuming that we have now this average length, I guess we could say half of that is good. Oh. Yeah, so we would just do something like this times 0.75 float. And this times 1.1 float, right? Like do 10%. Let me just check it here. Quick question. Is this valid syntax for C++? And it'll probably give me a whole lecture about casting between floats and ints and everything, which I don't really care about. Here, let me kill that and drag it over. Almost. First line has an issue. Blah, blah, blah. Right, well, because I didn't wrap it in order of operations. Syntax is valid C++, but semantically you want to add the two, yeah, and then divide two. Also note, are floats, so the result will be implicitly cast to int. If you want to be explicit, okay, fine. I would rather be explicit. So let's do that. Do those, there we go. Sweet. So now we have a min-max. What did I do here? Yeah, now I just got the widths and I sorted them. So that's all I did up here. Again, we'll for loop again, but I might be able to do that in a single pass later. We'll see. I guess we're not dealing with that many components, so it shouldn't be a big deal. And then we're going to generate valid lines based on if they're within that bounds. So if I run this now, go wait for my test results. We should at least get back that one line that we lost. But we may lose others, right? So we may lose any line that is, well, we should lose actually any line that is like the end of a paragraph where it's a half of a full line. We'll probably lose those. But that's also something I can tune. Wait, what? How did that... All components. Filtered lines is nothing. Huh. Trying to remember, how do I log again? It's been a... How do I do logging? It's been a bit since I've done it. Oh, right, just log name. Fine. My math might be off here. Average width. Let's see here. It's got to be like an int, right? String num. Num, this is max value. Okay. That's Godot string? Huh, okay. And then I'll do these as well. Fine. See what these are. I guess this is also... bad. I don't know. Maybe the right fix is if we go... Again, let's trim the top and bottom 20% and then compute an average. I guess if our average is too skewed, maybe this window isn't big. These windows aren't big enough. So this is saying the average is 11,000. I don't know. That actually should be pretty good. The middle 20, well, okay, I guess the question would be, what is middle 20%? Because the middle 20%, you know, with all these little things down here and garbage in the background, who knows what the middle 20% is? I don't know. We go 0.5 and 0.25 and run that. What do we end up with? I don't think I made any changes before the run I just did, but let me see anyway. Yeah, no, I didn't get anything. We still get black screen. right, here we go. Still nothing. We go 1. 0.1 and 2. Fine, 2.0. Interesting, that average. Still nothing. Did I delete something from here? What if I go back to this? Oh. We should be in the range of... Okay, so that's wrong. We should be in the range of 100 to 500. But I'm in thousands here. Interesting. So I'm getting W from num components. I'm sorting them. I wonder if I just can't do an average then. Maybe this looks worse than I think. Well, I guess this is color-coded, right? This one is. And we only have so many, right? I mean, it's possible maybe there's a bunch of tiny little ones. Like if I look in here, I can see there's a tiny one down there and some small ones here. So it's possible that maybe there's just a ton of little ones I'm not seeing. I mean, let's expand the aperture here. And see what we get. Okay, but that's a problem. Trying to make it dynamic. Huh. If I just computed the average of all of them, I guess the page lines should have their finger on the scale. And with more votes going towards... Yeah, this failed again. Right? Yeah. Our min is 500. We got better. Wait, why is max 11,000? Oh, sorry, because I went 10%. We could do, I don't know, num components. Num components is an integer, right? Yeah. I mean, so that should tell us how many there are that we're dealing with here. So previously, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is if we're within that threshold, then we say it's a valid line. I guess I can't. I'm barking up the wrong tree here. Wait, what? I didn't click on that. How might I group and cluster lines by similar widths and then keep the clusters? Sorry, how might I group and cluster lines where nearby lines have the nearby lines vertically have the same width, and then filter out lines that didn't form a group. Okay, so then we have max line spacing, 50 times our scale factor. Did I... Is it possible... Oh, this is going to be by our scale factor. I didn't multiply by the scale factor. So... Well, the scale factor is 0.5, right? So that's actually going to be even smaller. Woof. Okay, so that's actually like 50 to 250 is really what it should be. So I actually was way off base. 15% tolerance on width difference. Line clusters.push. Then we erase them. Right. All right, let's try this. We'll do step 4 AA. Filter, well, call it cluster nearby lines by width. Valid lines is not a thing. Like, we create valid lines later. It's assuming I already wanted to do that. Fine. Let me disable this logic. And I'll bring that up here. But we're not going to do any thresholding. We're just going to lazily just build valid lines to be a thing. And no errors, right? So then we have line clusters, dot erase. Rebuild valid lines from clustered only lines. Okay, and then valid lines. Right, so valid lines is just, okay, fine. So, I could probably bring this up. It's interesting that this cluster, line clusters, is just a vector. This is weird right here. Valid lines is just a vector of rect. But what we've done here, yeah, it's a vector rect. And we've already erased them. Huh? Oh, because it's a vector of vector rect. Alright, maybe this is fine. Still doesn't feel right though, because it's supposed to be. I don't know. Let me just bring this over, because I'm going to do something like this. And then save a debug image so I can see visually what it's doing. But this is not right. This feels like an AI hallucination to me. My Python is showing. Let me think here. So since this is a vector of a rect, when we iterate on it, this is a vector of a rect. And this is a vector over rect. All right, I don't know. I can find out. Where do I have like a for auto type thing? Here we go. I always forget the syntax of this. Where are we? There we go. So we can do that and do that. No, wait. I'm going to do these as separate for loops. There we are. For line, invalid lines. And we'll just do this. Right? Fine. Great. Whatever. I'll refactor it later after it actually kind of works, or after I've deleted it, because I'm sure I'll go on to some other technique. Not happy. Oh, filtered lines is previously declared. I could probably just kill this, right? Still not happy. In member function, redeclaration of max line spacing. Really? This is the new logic. Yeah. Yeah. So 1503. Oh, this is the group lines by vertical clustering. Shoot. Fine. I'm just gonna do the hacky thing since I may want to do this again anyway. Fine. So we declare it there, we use it there, declare it here differently, and use it in two spots. Fine. This is the problem with having AI code is things get ugly. Redeclaration, line clusters. God darn it. So this is my first declaration up here. Okay, fine. Use it, use it, use it, use it. Gotcha. Right, so that's going to be some reuse down here. Cluster Z, yeah, sure, fine. Bit jank, but that's okay. Again, I'll probably delete half this code anyway, so I can always refactor it later, and, you know, I suppose I could have AI refactor it for me so I don't have to do it once I get the final version. Error record of assigned. Really? Fine, we'll just make all this stuff Z. Alright, now it'll run. And now we'll find out if this actually did anything meaningful. So, where are my log statements here that I care about? I guess I brought in this image. Probably should have given it a different name, because I think I may... No, I've commented that out. So, okay, that's not going to be confusing for that debug image. Alright, here we go. And let's see. What do we get? Alright, so that's... Those are the horizontal lines. We've colored them. And that's the filtered ones. So that worked. Nice. With a bit of clustering. Now we lost this here. We did lose that title. So that title got lost. We lose the page title and page numbers, sure. We did lose this subtitle. Okay, so now I wonder, can I adjust the sensitivity? Max line spacing. Let's go with 100. Let's be generous. And I'm going to run this again. While I do, let me look for other things. So, width similarity threshold of width difference. I may want to be quite a bit more generous on that. I may say 50% or more. Or maybe we don't care about width at all. We just say, like, look, if it's close and nearby, include it. Because I'm just trying to crop here. So I really just care about how vertically far away something is. At this point, I don't really... Oh, I don't know. I could see it. Yeah, so that didn't help at all. And the reason this didn't help at all... Sorry. Is because... it's the width similarity that we care about for the clustering. So where do we do that? So if they're not vertically too far away, and the width is not too far off from each other, overlap ratio. How is that working? Horizontal overlap versus average width. I don't know what this is doing. The left, we're getting the max X. Check width similarity. I guess I could say that this is good, but I don't know. I guess what it's basically, the way this logic is working is take all the lines that we find, so this image, and check to see if they're vertically not far away from each other. And then if their width is within 15% of each other. And as long as those two things are true, put them together. I guess one way to say it could be, maybe we could say we don't care about the vertical as long as its height is within, like, its individual height, like how tall this is. Actually, let's zoom in here, because we could be more generous on the distance from away, so have some noise there, and then say actually we don't care as much about the width of it as we do about the height here. So this like thin one, throw that out because it's too thin. And then like something too thick. Yeah, let me try that. So, okay, this is working pretty well. One change I'd like to make is to ignore the line width for comparison. And let's cluster on lines that are vertically near each other and have similar line height. For their own height. Please just show me a diff of the lines that would change for this. Lines of code. So what does that look like? Okay, so it's saying, let's get rid of our width similarity, and let's make it a height similarity, and let's change it to 0.3, which is going to be obviously 30%. So instead of checking width similarity, we want to do height similarity instead. So we're going to do that. And then we've got average height coming out, popping out of that. And then we've got height similarity with our threshold. So how are these different? I guess, yeah, we're really just taking width minus height. Like width, subtracting, instead of subtracting the widths, we subtract the heights. And yeah, like it's literally the exact same code. We're just looking at a different dimension. Yeah, okay. I mean, I could have easily coded that myself then. So now I wonder if this will get interesting results, because now we're saying they just need to be near each other and have similar heights. And that really should do a good job. That actually may, if I tune it correctly, that may do everything. Actually, I'm cautiously optimistic this will be great. I may even be able to get generous on like the line spacing. If this does what I think it'll do, I'm actually going to run the whole test suite and see how everything does. Moment of truth. Nice. We got the number here. We lost a little bit at the bottom. And we gained some garbage over here on the left. But I think I can work with this. So now here's what we do. Let's turn that up to 100. Let's go 0.5. And I think there was a check down here for 2. Let's go 4. And run that again. So the only reason we got that garbage on the left is because we had this at 2. But we're going to have at least like 4 lines, right? We got to have at least 4 lines. I suppose it's possible that a book would finish a chapter. I mean, is there ever going to be a book where a chapter finishes on a page and there's like 1 line at the top? Or 2 lines? That would be pretty stupid. This finished, right? Let's see how it did. Actually, I'm going to leave this up so I can compare it. Let's see. Weird. That did not do what I expected it to do. It did get this stuff down here at the bottom, but then we lost those. Did I go in the wrong direction on something, on a setting? And then we got this bar at the top. So that should have worked there. Let me... Where am I? Height similarity. Let's bring that back down to 0.3. This should have worked. Let's go 150. Weird that we lost. We're like in the same boat. So this had no effect. If I take that to 50. So maybe it's that max line spacing that caused the problem. In which case the height similarity... I guess maybe if I just went way too big there, it picked up that stuff in the roof, in the ceiling. Let's see here. Hello, what happened? Like, how did we... Alright, if I reset this back to 2, can we get it back to what we had? That's weird. Okay, so this got it back. So maybe these counted as similar. This is showing a lot of promise, though. Like, that alone right there is very impressive. Okay, if I go to 3 here, it's very weird. Like, why would this have min in cluster? So we've clustered them. I guess I'm not visualizing the cluster. I probably should. Because what are these clusters, right? And then we got our overlap ratio. What's this? Explain to me what is doing. Let's see here. So I switched it to 3, and what do we get? We lose everything. I mean, we end up with, I mean, that's a perfect, like very much a perfect result. We just lose page numbers, line numbers, things like that. And I wonder if I can get them back. Is determining how much the 2 lines overlap horizontally, left to right. Here's what each part does. Find the leftmost point of the overlap region. Calculate the width of the overlap. So for example, they overlap by, that lines must overlap by at least 30%. This prevents grouping lines that are vertically aligned, like text in different columns. From a left column with text from a right column. I don't care about that. Okay, thank you for your consideration, but I don't care about this. Let me nuke that. Okay, so you can't start a text block. You can't end a text block before you've started it. All right, fine. Let's do that. That may have... That might be the thing that's filtering them out, actually, come to think of it. at least that bottom footer number. So the other ones, they may have gotten clustered together. And maybe that's why they were allowed in when it was a 2. Because I think there was 2 of them. But that bottom footer got filtered out maybe because of the other thing. So... And now we're... Okay, see, we got those back. Interesting. Ooh, interesting. So if I go back to the previous run, okay, that makes sense. I don't really care about separate columns, but one bug I see here is something like a one-word paragraph title that is centered. I believe that would get filtered out by this logic. Can we handle that edge case? All right, so what would that look like? So I think I want to keep it, unfortunately, because it brought in noise by disabling that horizontal overlap. Here's how to handle the edge case. So, okay, so we have our overlap left, which is still the max. Overlap right's the same. That's still the same. So this is still the same. Yeah, let's do it relative to the smaller line. That was my thought too. This way, a shorter center title can overlap significantly with a longer paragraph. So we do the overlap ratio. We take the min of cluster lines. All right, so we do left and right, and we use that to compute this. But then we do this is not right. This was average width, whereas this has average height. That may have gotten... Okay, so that might have just been the bug right there, is this shouldn't have been average height. But okay, let's go with this other approach anyway, which should be more robust regardless. By the way, fun fact, irregardless is actually a word now. I guess it's just kind of how English language goes, right? If people use a word enough, even if it's a bad pronunciation of a word, eventually that becomes canon, as it were. Like that becomes part of the language because it's used. All right. Do I have any images I need to kill? No. What did it, no, we're still going with 0.3 float for the overlap ratio. We're just being more generous for queuing off of the smaller width thing. 1151. If I go back a beat, okay, well, this is the bad one that I don't love. That kind of fixed things. Now we're kind of back to similar footing. What if I try just this vanilla? With dit. Okay, so maybe I can do just pull this out by itself. And let's run that. And while we do this, let's keep up the most recent one so that we can compare against and see if we get a little bit better data. Okay. How did we do? No better. Same. So, what is this doing? I mean, we can just shrink that down and see, you know, is there at least some overlap? Even if it's like tiny. So this can be the max of 0. Yeah, I wonder. Doesn't work. If I go like 0.001 there, let's try it. In theory, this would mean that there's at least something that overlaps, right? It's got to like overlap at least a little bit. No. The key change is smaller width instead of average. This means a short centered title, 100 pixels, that overlaps a 500 pixel paragraph line. The ratio would be... Huh? This isn't working for my use case, which is actually just a single digit page number. loading above the paragraph. Can we just check for any overlap, horizontal overlap at all? That might be simpler code-wise. And then I'm really just saying, well, yeah, like just throw away anything that's like far off to the left or right, which would actually solve that error that I was seeing earlier. So in this case, we're still going to do overlap left and right according to the logic here. And then we just do has overlap. Okay. So we do those two checks, and then we just say, hey, does it have overlap? And then we don't care about any of this other stuff. I'm a fan. I'll take that. If it works, that is. Overlap on the right is greater than overlap on the left. If this doesn't work, I'll just have the AI explain what it's doing, and then maybe I can debug this and find a solution. Because there should be something like this. Again, I'm just looking for anything that is vertically aligned. Yeah, we do want vertical proximity, so they're close to each other vertically. Have similar width? No, we don't care about that. We care about similar height, and they should have some small overlap. Vertical proximity, similar height, and overlap width-wise. Let's see how this last run did. Negative. So weird. What if I just did... I don't know. If I get rid of that... and run it. Because again, maybe we lost that data elsewhere. Maybe it's not actually the has overlap check that's causing the problem. So weird. We do lose the page number, right? So that goes away. I think I need to save a debug image with boxes around these clusters because I suspect the mask regions I'm losing are maybe not part of the cluster I'm looking at. I'm thinking of. Okay, so line clusters, where okay, fine. So there's line clusters. We then erase the ones that are too small. Maybe we don't even need to do that. So this is color, rectangle, draw the overall bounding box of the club. Okay, fine. CV line dotted is not a thing. Let me think here. Does this look right? Okay, so you could have just, I could have just erased that. All right, let's see if that gives me an image. So cluster boxes with counts. Okay, so it probably overdid itself with like what it's logging here, but that's fine. Yeah, put text. Yeah, I don't need text, but okay. So we get the cluster index dot size as a string. Slightly odd, but okay. How does this look? All right, so there's our lines. Oh. So those all got clustered together. Interesting. Those are clustered together. Okay, so this isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And, you know, let's go back to, I don't know. Let's set that to 1 for our min cluster size and run that again. So my suspicion was right. There's something wrong with these clusters. And maybe it's this overlap, right? So maybe the overlap logic... Oh, well, okay, I'm not using the overlap logic. Okay, so that's... See, this is why debug images help so much. Such clarity. So when I do that, now all of a sudden we get a bunch of them. And we can see their size. Okay, so a bunch of these one-offs. It's interesting that this is such a big box here, just for that little one right there. This one's got 16. Now if I turn on and has overlap. And if we run that, I wonder if that'll but see, this is gonna kick things out. Like, I got rid of the has overlap requirement. Like, it should split these two, is what it should do. There we are. So the has overlap logic works. Oh, interesting. So instead of these two being a separate cluster, like this one got grouped in with this one, but now those two got grouped together. Interesting. All right, well, to cut down on noise, let's go to 2 on this. And then let's go up to like 100 and see what we get. It shouldn't be the line spacing. I guess like the question is why? Why oh why do those lines not get overlapped to each other? It could be this 30% threshold here. But hopefully, yeah, it's between these two settings. I should be able to get them clustering correctly. Okay, so now because there's at least some overlap, that top bit gets grouped in. So funny. What if I take it to the extreme and I go like, I don't know, let's go crazy. Let's go 200. I wonder then, like, so this is noise that's going to get grouped because there's some overlap vertically. But what I want to be able to say is like overlap, I can fix that. I can say, look, like, overlap has to be bounded. Like the wider, like whatever's the widest, the smaller one, if there is a smaller one, has to be bound within its parent. Okay, so if I look at that, what did we crank? We went to 200 on that. Which is so funny because we now end up grouping the entire right page. Which I'll do that as a separate process. But we still didn't get this, and this got treated as its own cluster. So I think what we can do, because that's not the problem. Now if we go to 0.1 here, we go back to our original clustering and run this. Or like we go back to our original spacing. But now we say like, let's be a little more tolerant on height difference. Height similarity. So this goes off of valid lines. Cluster line dot height. Divide 2. Cluster line cluster So each cluster, so initially the cluster is made up of all lines. Okay, so that's where it's like a clustering algorithm. It's a simple clustering algorithm, but it is one anyway. I think I need to stop soon. Interesting. Okay, but now I ended up breaking it. Ooh, weird. What if we go in the other direction? That was not at all what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting more fragmented clusters. I was expecting... Huh. Oh, maybe because I lowered the tolerance. So we became intolerant of deviation. Okay. I can see that. All right, let's go. Let's just keep going up with that. Do you think I need to stop soon? What does my calendar look like? I think I'm okay, but still. Let me think here for a second. All right, got a result. Hey, there we go. Nice. Ooh, beautiful. That's perfect, actually. And then we can crank this up to like 4. Or shoot, let's go 5 and run it again. And now I can actually run this against all of the test scenarios and just validate that this works for all of them. Am I done with coffee? Let me see here. Yep. All right, switch to water. This worked. Amazing. And it worked with just like, hey, has overlap. Let's close that. Actually, we have a new winner, so I should probably bring up that image. Yeah, so that filtered out. We do lose up here, though. So... Also, what's going to happen with chapter titles? Let's go to like 80 on that. Let's see that. I want to see what it takes to get the page title up here brought into the mix, but ignoring this other nonsense. I like this though. This is working good. Because then I can just do a simple technique to say, hey, like those two clusters are vertically aligned with each other, merge them. And then do the final thing of saying, hey, let's set a bounding box, but the bounding box should also factor in the min x and max x of the two surviving clusters. The y's will be different, but the x's will align basically. Now, so we pick up that noise at the top. So we never get it. We never get that top thing. So I think the line spacing isn't the issue. If I go back down to 1 down here, does it even show up on the board? And here we go. Okay, back to the chaos. Okay, so it is there, but it's there by itself. It has overlap, so it should be included that way. What is your deal? I mean, let's go with 9.5 on the tolerance. I can't imagine that would be it. I mean, it's got to be it, right? I mean, it could be a combination of the two, right? Like maybe this needs to be like 60 and this needed to be increased too. But I don't know what else it could be. Still not there. Why, oh why are you like this? Let me think here. Like, what else could be the reason why it doesn't pick it up? Honestly, if this is the only thing that doesn't work, I'm fine. Also, I need to run this through the rest of the test suite because there may be other edge cases that I have to control for. Hey, look, it got it. Ah. Okay. So that was it. Maybe if I go down to like 85 here. So it just needed to be a little bit more generous on the max line spacing. Here, I got a new Crown Victor. And if we go to 85... Okay, now I'm serious. Now I actually have to run the rest of the test suite. And the rest of the test suite, to remind me, is going to be angled, shaky, and left. Okay, that still worked. So that's all well and good. Let's go with left. Well, I'm going to rebuild, which is annoying. I shouldn't do that. Let me pass the skip flag so we don't do that. But okay, this might solve the page title, like the sparse text problem. Oh man, this is funky. So that's good. That's gross. Oh. Okay. And then as a result, ooh, look at that neon lights. And then we don't have clusters because everything is nonsense. I know where that issue is though. That issue is here. It's got to be 15. I think it's got to be 15. So let's run that. So 25 worked for that one case, but that does mean, this is why we run the whole test suite. So for other scenarios, it won't work. I do need more test cases, I feel like. But for now, just having like the 4 or 5 scenarios means I should be able to catch most edge cases and get it working pretty reliably. Better. Good. Ooh, I am seeing... Yeah, there's some bridging happening here. Oh, that's going to mess with the height. Which is why we end up with that. So let me fix that. And that is going to be the... So that's strengthening horizontal edges. Let me see here. So that's edges. Horizontal edges. It's got to be an integer, so I can't go smaller. Gross. I can do 7.5 here on the scaling, which will hurt performance, but should get us like a clearer image. Because the smaller you go on the scaling, like that, you know, the more you scale it down, the smaller the image is, the better you'll do on performance. But you lose detail, and I think when we're in a situation like this where we're like down to 1, I think that's a problem. Let's see. Does that solve the issue? I think it will. Yes, I do still see some things that are a bit too close together, but when we do that, everything is a rainbow. Everything's got different colors. I don't see any bridging. I think if they're like, if one of them bridged, that would be fine. And there we go. Everything clustered just right with page titles and footers. Amazing. So I should be able to go to new, and let's skip the build so it runs faster. And let's just make sure this still works for our new chapter scenario, which is the one I'm trying to fix. And I don't think it does. So I know. It is okay. We do, however, end up picking up those. That's fine. I can filter those out a different way, because I can just basically say, hey, take the 2 biggest clusters and go with the width there. And then add a, plus or minus a percentage all clusters have to be within that plus or minus percentage. And that would ditch this. And then also I'd say, hey, look, if there is overlap, find overlap between clusters. If they are, and those two clusters are, say, 80% overlapped, merge them. So I can merge these two into one. And then I can just take the two. I mean, even then, don't even need to filter this out. Like, go with the... Well, I guess this has 5 lines and this has 8. I guess I could say, like... Yeah, again, I could do something like... You know, we should be expecting clusters with... Let's do clusters of clusters, right? Now let's do like another round of filtering, basically, to say... yeah, I need yeah, anyway, I can think of a couple different ways to do it. Who are you? Go away. Ban. GTFO. Cool. Okay, anyway, this is fine. I can handle that. Let's go with shaky. The shaky test. The shaky leg test. Nice. Now, this has angled drift to it, so we may have a problem there. Still good. There's some bridging here, which then ties into this, which means this last line is going to be considered part of all that. There might not be overlap there. Gross. So it's pretty good, but we pick up some noise up here. We lose the page number. We get the title here, but we lose the title there. Not great. I mean, this is an older test, so maybe I don't care as much. I could also solve this by saying, you know, put a bounding box around %90 or something like that. Okay. Might be something to fix there. What do we end up with? Angled. Let's call it page 1. And where are we here? Oh, no, this is the wrong test. I didn't mean to run this test. This is one of my worst old tests. I do like this effect, though. This looks pretty cool. I may try to use that in some other way. Yeah, this is one of the older bad tests that performs terribly. I mean, could be worse, right? Let's go with angled that way. You know, one solution would be to, like, not downscale. Downscale's nice for speed. It might help with those issues. Probably not. All right, this one will be interesting because I wonder what it's going to do over here. Most of those got set as one thing. And we did not get bridging down here. Okay, actually, fixing the scaling factor may fix that. It may prevent that bridging from occurring. That's true. I mean, that's actually pretty good. And then again, I'm probably going to add some sort of filter to say if the grid touches the, you know, I guess in this case we would ignore both because this one's touching the top. But yeah, I could do something of if it's touching the edges or if they don't have the same width. Yeah, when we apply the rotated rect. I don't know. That should be fine. All the same, I'm fairly impressed with how this is doing. So I think I'm going to stop here and go get some lunch. And then I'll spend the afternoon working on this and decide, I need to make a final decision of, well, I need to, decide if I want to finish working on this and actually pull it into the app. Performance is a question. So how fast is this run on the headset itself? I can kind of check it with the test suite. Well, I mean, we're getting errors here, like, but you know, I can kind of test it that way, running locally, but really the real test will be running on the headset because the headset's significantly slower. So this has to be similar speed to what I'm doing. And then yeah, I'll have to decide what to do. But I'm happy with what I've seen so far. Cool. Anyway, so with that, I think I'm gonna finish streaming for today. I will probably be back streaming on Monday. Let me see here. What is that? Yeah, anyway, I'll stream on Monday. But I'll also then be working on this today and probably later this week. So hopefully I'll be able to put a pin in this one way or another and actually solve that new chapter problem in a fast way and then move on to something new. Yeah. All right, well, cool. So for those of you, nobody chatting today, but I saw a bunch of lurkers. So for those of you who lurked, thank you for being here. And I will chat with you on Monday.